Welcome to Keith Knight. Don't tread on anyone. I want to start off with a thought experiment. Say a guy, Starvin' Marvin, is very hungry. So he says, I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to exchange some money for some food so I don't starve. However, you go to his house and say, Starvin' Marvin, if you go to the store, I, Governor Whitmer of Michigan, am going to kill you. Actually, it's only one of me, and I'm kind of a coward, so I'm going to have my theft-funded employees kill you if you try going to the store. Well, by you initiating violence against a peaceful person that results in them dying, that makes you responsible for their death, because in the absence of you not violating their rights, they would be alive. This is often called murder, the killing of another person without justification or excuse, especially the crime of killing a person with malice, aforethought, or with reckless manifesting extreme indifference to the value of human life. An instance of such killing. So, for example, Ted Bundy is a murderer. He initiated violence against a peaceful person, well, a group of peaceful women, and ended their lives. He is responsible for their deaths. However, many people will say that, well, yes, governments murder people with their militaries and their police and their sanctions and their regulations, but the free market also murders people because it creates so much stuff and then doesn't distribute it to starving people. So, therefore, the free market's also responsible for murder. This is incorrect. It is the equivalent of saying this woman, by sitting on her couch and not actively spending her time and resources to save starving people, is a murderer. That is saying government murders and the free market murders is like saying Ted Bundy murders and people who relax and watch TV murder. One is initiating violence. The other is not taking active steps to solve an issue. And it's also funny that they recognize the free market as such a powerhouse production. They're like, oh yeah, it could definitely solve poverty and human starvation if the state would just stop regulating it. So let's take this example, or that understanding rather, and apply it to kidneys. Here is the National Kidney Foundation organ donation and transplantation statistics. There are currently 121,678 people waiting for life-saving organ transplants in the United States. Of these, 100,791 await kidney transplants as of January 11th, 2016. The median wait time for an individual's first kidney transplant is 3.6 years and can vary depending on health, capability, and availability of organs. In 2014, 17,107 kidney transplants took place in the United States. Of these, 11,570 came from deceased donors and 5,500 came from living donors. On average, over 3,000 new patients are added to the kidney waiting list each month. 13 people die each day while waiting for a life-saving kidney transplant. Every 14 minutes, someone is added to the kidney transplant list. In 2014, 4,700 patients died while waiting for a kidney transplant. Another 3,600 people became too sick to receive a kidney transplant. So, what we have here is a case of government murdering their own civilians. In the same way, if I violently stop Starvin' Marvin from going to the store, and I don't own the store, I don't own his house or the road that goes there, I just initiate violence, well, that makes me responsible for his death. I am absolutely responsible. In the same way, if you have kidnapped someone and don't let them eat food, well, at that point, if they starve to death, you are responsible for them dying. Because in the absence of you, they would have made a voluntary exchange and had their life saved. So we can actually compare the United States to a place like Iran. In the U.S., we have a total kidney shortage, so of course it's blamed on the free market. People die in American healthcare. America has free market, therefore free market causes death. No, of course, it's the state again. Kidney trade in Iran. The practice of selling one's kidney for profit in Iran is legal and regulated by the government. In any given year, it is estimated that 1,400 Iranians sell one of their kidneys to a recipient who was previously unknown to them. This is how the free market gets people who are generally indifferent to one another to act morally, to save the lives of complete strangers. We have this ability. It's called voluntarism. It's called trade. It's called exchange. talk about my body, my choice. Yeah, my kidney, my choice. Iran currently is the only country in the world that allows the sale of one's kidneys for compensation. See, it's very important that governments make it very clear we own your body. That's why only one country has done this. Typically a payment. Consequently, the country does not have either a waiting list or a shortage of available organs. That is maybe the least shocking thing I've ever heard. Government intervention causes shortages. Yeah, that's why there's a shortage in healthcare, education, there's a shortage in housing, because the state violently involves itself in what otherwise would be a voluntary exchange. Or even people that aren't that nice would just seek the profit, and others would pay them voluntarily in exchange for labor. According to an article in Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology, the model has avoided many problems associated with organ trade, but all models used in other developing countries have failed to slow down the worsening of transplant queues. Here is a article that goes into this in The Economist. Want to buy a kidney? Governments should let people. Let us. Thank you, state, for letting me, for maybe considering that I own my own body and the organs inside of it. Governments should let people trade kidneys, not convict them for it. Here is, now, the first source that I used from 2016 said 13 people die a day, rather the government murders 13 people a day. This is a second source from American Association of Kidney Patients. Today, the number of Americans in need of an organ transplant is approaching 100,000. Over 70,000 are in need of a kidney. 70,000 people need one. Plenty of people would make the trade voluntarily. And look, you become more susceptible to, maybe kidney failure if you only have one kidney, but you live in a place where there's a market, so you're not totally terrified. You know that there's not going to be a shortage. There's an incentive for people to make the sale. Typically, an average of 7 Americans die every day. So, best case scenario, government's only murdering 7 innocent people a day. So, I don't know. It's like a Sandy Hook every 2 days that the government causes. And I'm sure they're devastated, because they're here for our health and our well-being, and they want to give us health care. And they're really worried about us getting COVID, because that might end some people's lives. American Association of Kidney Patients goes on. To further support the argument of donation compensation, Dr. Benjamin E. Hippen presented his observations of why Iran is the sole country without an organ shortage. Here is another source saying, Iran is the only place that does this. Not coincidentally, the one place that allows you to make the sale. In contrast to the United States, where more than 70,000 people are on a waiting list for a kidney transplant. Tons of people want to make the trade. Others want to make the trade on the other side of the equation, and the violent state stops them from doing so. And the order-following police and military that say, yeah, we'll totally abide by this. So here is a shortcut to understanding the ideas of freedom, voluntarism, and libertarianism. You own yourself. The reason you own yourself is because with regard to others, you have a better claim to your body. You are the only person who directly controls it. Only other people can indirectly control your body by first directly controlling theirs. So you have a better claim to your body. That's why slavery is immoral. And any property you acquire through voluntary exchange, contract, or original appropriation. The root of this philosophy is consent. So it's not that, there's a shortage, so what you mean is the state should start forcing people to give their organs. Look, if no one wants to trade their organs, fine. The problem is that one group is violently interfering. So what you would usually see is the state starts organ harvesting to save, their best friends, the friends of the state, as they do in China. To understand the foundational principles of the ideas of freedom, you have to recognize the morality of self-ownership and consent. Don't let us get caught up in, what about this really specific thing that happened in a land far, far away? Go research that for 10 years and then get back to me. And by the time you get back to me, I'll call you a psycho who's obsessed, and then I'll move on to something else. Just understand the principle. What makes sex not rape? Consent. What makes a job not slavery? Consent. What makes a transaction not robbery? Consent. What makes taxation not theft? Well, look, consent is the root of morality. So if I consent to giving my kidney to another person who consents to giving me money. No third party, even if the third party is called FDA or government or police or Congress or Parliament, has the right to stop me. In other words, the non-aggression principle says voluntarism and agreements are superior morally and economically to initiating violence against peaceful people. Yes, it's that simple. Not that it's perfect, not that there will never be any problems, that it is morally superior. Thank you for watching Keith Knight, Don't Tread on Anyone.
Libertarian, this contingent Western projection onto money that's not built into the fabric of money, the fabric of the universe, kills people. So when he says, like, oh, we shouldn't sell kidneys because that shows disrespect for life, it's like the social practice of not selling kidneys and justifying on the grounds that it's icky and that it's commodifying life kills people. So perversely, the refusal to commodify life comes at the expense of life. Right? There are 100,000 Americans right now, actually a little bit higher number than that, who are on the kidney wait list. The overwhelming majority of them will never get a kidney. They won't get one. There's about 10,000, or it was about 6,000 Canadians on the list. I'm putting out because my co-author's Canadian. They will not get kidneys. Very few of them will. Why won't people give away kidneys? They're not nice enough to do it on their own. They could, but they don't. When Michael Sandel was in college, he didn't give away a kidney because he's not a nice enough person. When I was in college and healthy enough to do it, I didn't give away a kidney because I'm not a nice enough person. I've given talks about this to about 10,000 people. I've asked them, have any of you ever given away a kidney to help a stranger? And no one ever has. They're not nice enough to do it on their own. But if you paid them to do it, they would do it.